I spent a decade as the personal bodyguard for the daughter of the wealthiest man in Los Angeles. 10 years. I'd taken a bullet for her, stopped a knife, handled a kidnapping attempt, and cleaned up the messes she made with entitled trust fund kids who couldn't take no for an answer. If she got a craving for donuts from a cult favorite spot in Silver Lake at 2 in the morning, I'd drive the 40 miles in the pouring rain to get them. If she had a fever, I'd stay up all night, a human pillow for her to lean against. Everyone said I was the Sterling family's most loyal dog. Even Vivian Sterling herself thought so. Until my 30th birthday, staring in the mirror at the scar that traced a thin white line from the corner of my eye to my temple, a gift from a shattered bottle I blocked for her, I suddenly felt tired. Done. I wanted to get married. I wanted a home of my own. I wanted someone who would cry when I got hurt, not just tell me coldly, go see accounting and pick up your bonus. I secretly made a profile on a dating app. The woman I met was gentle and a little shy. I heard you work for Vivian Sterling, she said. That's really impressive. For the first time in a long time, I relaxed and smiled. I'm planning to resign. The next second, the glass door of the restaurant was kicked open with a violent crack. Vivian Sterling stood in the doorway, flanked by 2 of her usual security guys, her eyes radiating pure fury. She stalked toward me, her gaze promising murder. With a furious scream, she flipped our table over, grabbed the front of my tie, and her voice trembled uncontrollably. Who said you could resign? Who said you could go on a date? I've had you for 10 years. How dare you ditch me for someone else? My name is Leo Vance. I'm Vivian Sterling's executive protection specialist, her shadow. I've been doing this for exactly 10 years. Today is my 30th birthday. I just finished dealing with 2 drunk USC frat boys trying to scale the wall of the Beverly Hills estate to get to Vivian. My face was scraped, and the knuckles on my right hand were swollen and purple. Back in the security office, my phone lit up. A text from the bank. Direct deposit alert. A deposit of $10,000 from Sterling Corp. was made to your account, ending in 8817, on May 17th at 03:15 a.m. It was immediately followed by a text from Vivian's personal assistant. Leo, Vivian says thanks for tonight. Bonus has been sent. Check your account. Winky face. Smiling face with smiling eyes. I stared at the number on the screen, at the zeros, and felt nothing. A hollow, sort of emptiness. $10,000. Was that enough to buy back the inch of flesh a knife almost took from my gut? Enough to erase the scar by my eye? Or was it enough to pay for the decade I'd spent on call, 24/7, with no life of my own? My phone vibrated again. A direct call from Vivian. I answered. Her voice, bright and imperious as always, cut through the phone. Leo, are those 2 idiots taken care of? Their gom is Sterling. Such a buzzkill. I was getting my beauty sleep. Tomorrow. No, wait. This afternoon, you're taking me to the Bulgari launch party on Rodeo. I was silent for a few seconds. For the first time, I didn't immediately say, yes, ma'am. Hello, she snapped. Did you go deaf? Ms. Sterling, I said, my voice a little hoarse. Today is my birthday. Could I possibly take the afternoon off? I wanted to visit the cemetery. See my parents. There was a pause, then a short, sharp laugh. Leo, are you serious? They've been dead for how long? The grass on their graves is probably 10 feet tall. What's there to see? Be in the garage at 3 p.m. Sharp. You're late. You lose your bonus. The line went dead. I held the phone, listening to the dial tone, before slowly lowering my hand. The man in the mirror was 30 years old. Sharp features, cold eyes. A jagged scar ran from his right eye to his temple. That was from 3 years ago, when I'd shielded Vivian from a champagne bottle someone threw in a club fight. She'd screamed, not for me, but because 2 drops of my blood had splattered onto her designer dress. Leo, you're disgusting, she'd shrieked. This dress is custom haute couture. Your salary for 3 months couldn't replace it. Later, she had her assistant wire me a $50,000 bonus. As if the permanent scar on my face and her stupid dress could both be assigned a price tag. That morning, I spent 2 hours at the cemetery. I brought my parents a bouquet of white lilies. In the photo on their headstone, their smiles were warm. If they were still alive, they never would have let me do this job, this life of walking into the line of fire for someone else. They would have pushed me to get married, have kids, and live a safe, quiet life. That afternoon, I was in the garage on time. Vivian slid into the back of the Escalade, wearing a sequined mini dress and trailing a cloud of expensive perfume. She glanced at me, then suddenly reached for the scar by my eye. I flinched away instinctively. Her hand froze in midair, her expression instantly souring. What are you dodging for? I was just going to look at that scar of yours. My father's hosting a gala next week. It's bad luck to have you standing there with that ugly thing on your face. I've booked you an appointment for laser removal. Get it taken care of. My fingers tightened on the steering wheel. Ms. Sterling, it can't be removed. The surgeon said it's too deep. She waved her hand impatiently. Then cover it with concealer or something. Just don't scare the guests. The Bulgari event was a blinding constellation of celebrities and influencers. Vivian moved through the crowd like a monarch butterfly, and I stayed 2 steps behind her, earpiece in, my eyes scanning everyone who got too close. A C-list actor tried to chat her up, and I blocked his path with my arm. The actor glared at me. Who the hell are you? Vivian turned and giggled. Oh, that's just my pet guard dog. Extremely protective. Don't mind him. A few people nearby chuckled. I stood there, my face a mask of indifference, as I heard the other security guys on my comms channel trying to stifle their own laughter. Vance, she's calling you a dog again. Just roll with it, man. You know how it is. It was 11 p.m. by the time I finally drove a drunk Vivian back to the estate. She was slumped in the back seat, and she suddenly kicked the back of my driver's seat. Leo, I'm thirsty. I want the spring brew tea from that place in Topanga Canyon. I glanced at the clock. Ms. Sterling, that's at least a 2-hour round trip. And they close at 1 a.m. I want it, she whined, her voice petulant. Go get it now, or else you're fired. I silently turned the car around and headed for the canyon. The city lights blurred into streaks outside the window. I suddenly remembered the first time I met Vivian 10 years ago. She was 18, fresh out of prep school, wearing a plaid skirt. She put her hands on her hips and ordered me to carry her luggage. Hey, you the new guy. Yeah, you. Not bad looking, are you? Stick with me, and I'll make sure you're taken care of. 10 years later, the promising young man had become her pet guard dog. By the time I reached the tea house in the canyon, it was closed. I had to plead with the night manager, slipping him a $100 bill just to get the last pot of their spring brewed tea. I drove back, carefully the insulated pot on the passenger seat. But by the time I returned, Vivian was already fast asleep. I stood outside her bedroom door, holding the pot of tea. Eventually, I just placed it gently on the carpet outside her door and sent a text to her assistant. Ms. Sterling's tea is outside her room. The assistant replied with a thumbs-up emoji. The next day was my day off. I went to a coffee shop in Pasadena for the date the app had arranged. Her name was Sarah Wells, an elementary school teacher, 28, with a kind, gentle face and a soft voice. So, what do you do for a living, Leo? I hesitated. I'm in executive protection. It sounded better than bodyguard. She nodded. That sounds very impressive. Is it a busy job? Very. I'm always on call. She was understanding. Well, making a living is never easy. I teach a class of 5th graders. I'm always working late. We actually had a good conversation. When she heard my parents had passed away, her eyes filled with genuine sympathy. If you ever want a home-cooked meal, she offered, you can always call me. I make a pretty mean lasagna. Looking at her warm smile, a frozen corner of my heart began to thaw. We agreed to meet again next week, and I left the coffee shop feeling lighter than I had in years. Then my phone started vibrating violently. It was Vivian screaming into the phone. Leo, where the hell are you? Get your ass to the Grove right now. If you're not here in 10 minutes, don't bother showing up for work tomorrow. I gritted my teeth and caught an Uber. On the luxury retail floor of the mall, Vivian was screaming at a sales clerk. What kind of crappy store is this? Why would you sell the bag I wanted to someone else? Do you know who I am? I could have this entire store shut down by tomorrow. The clerk was on the verge of tears. Miss Sterling, this lady had already reserved the bag. Standing nearby was a well-dressed woman, clearly intimidated by the scene. I hurried over. Ms. Sterling, what's wrong? The moment she saw me, Vivian grabbed my sleeve. Leo, she took the bag I wanted. Get it back for me. The other woman tried to explain softly. I reserved it a month ago. Vivian raised her hand to slap the woman. I caught her wrist. Ms. Sterling, we're in public. Think about your image. She glared at me fiercely. Whose side are you on? 10 years with me is worth less than a dog's loyalty. At least a dog knows who feeds it. The store manager finally intervened, promising to have another bag shipped overnight for Vivian. Only then did she relent, grabbing my arm and storming out. In the car, her face was a cold mask. Suddenly, she snatched my phone from the center console. Let's just see what was so important on your day off. She swiped the screen open. My heart jumped into my throat, but it was too late. She saw my text with Sarah. She saw the notification from the dating app about our meeting. The air in the car turned to ice. Vivian held up my phone, the screen's glow casting a sickly blue light on her face. She turned her head slowly to look at me, her eyes narrowing to slits, her voice cold enough to freeze water. Leo, you dare to go on a date? I gripped the steering wheel until my knuckles were white. Ms. Sterling, I'm 30 years old. It's normal for me to want to start a family. She let out a sudden, chilling laugh. A family? What right do you have to a family? You belong to me, Leo Vance. Without the Sterling family's money, what are you? A nobody. Who is that woman? That teacher? Huh. Does she even make enough in a month to buy that watch on your wrist? The watch was a Patek Philippe she'd given me for my birthday last year. She tossed the box at me. Wear it. Don't embarrass me. I took a deep breath. Ms. Sterling, I am merely an employee. After my contract expires, I plan to resign. She stared at me. Then, with a furious cry, she hurled my phone at the windshield. The screen shattered on impact. Resign? Date. In your dreams, Leo. You owe my family. You owe me for the rest of your life. You'll never pay it back. Without my permission, you're not going anywhere. After that day, I was placed under a kind of house arrest. Vivian confiscated my passport and driver's license. She had me moved from the security quarters into a windowless room in the mansion's basement, posting 2 massive bodyguards outside the door. When you've seen the error of your ways, she said, standing at the top of the basement stairs, backlit and imperious in her high heels, then you can come out. Remember this, Leo. I was the one who found you. Your life is mine. I don't let go, you die at my feet. There were no windows in the basement. I couldn't tell day from night, only a single dim bulb hanging from the ceiling. I don't know how many days I was locked in there. Someone would bring food, usually cold leftovers. On the 3rd night, the door opened. Vivian walked in, wearing a silk nightgown with a robe thrown over it, a bottle of red wine in her hand. She was already drunk. She nudged my leg with her foot. Well, have you learned your lesson? I sat on the floor, unmoving. I did nothing wrong, Ms. Sterling. I just want to get married. She reacted like a cat whose tail had been stepped on, instantly exploding. She swung the wine bottle at my head. I didn't move. It shattered against my forehead, and a mixture of red wine and blood streamed down my face, warm and sticky. She stood over me, panting, her chest heaving. Married? To who? That teacher. I'll have you know, I had someone visit her school yesterday. If she ever dares to see you again, she can kiss her career goodbye. I snapped my head up. Blood dripped into my eyes, turning my vision red. Vivian. It was the first time I had ever yelled her name. Come after me. Leave her out of this. She froze at my reaction. Then her eyes suddenly turned red. Her voice was a broken, frantic sob. You're yelling at me. For her. You bastard, Leo. I've had you for 10 years. 10 years. And that's worth less than some cheap woman you've known for a few days. She threw herself at me, clawing and hitting, her nails digging into my neck. I'll show you dating. I'll show you marriage. You're mine. Mine. I let her vent, not moving an inch. When she was finally exhausted, she stopped, gasping for air. Only then did I speak, my voice raspy. Ms. Sterling, it's been 10 years. I've taken 3 knife wounds for you, 1 bullet, 5 broken bones, 2 concussions. The worst time, I was in the ICU for 2 weeks. The money you gave me, your bonuses, I never spent a dime. I saved it all. Is that enough to pay you back for my life? She stood frozen, her beautiful eyes wide, as if she were seeing me for the first time. The only sound in the basement was her heavy breathing. After a long moment, she laughed. A low, bitter sound. She leaned down close, her wine-soaked breath on my face. Leo, you think that's enough? I'm telling you it's not. It will never be enough. What you owe me, you won't be able to pay it back in the next life, either. She straightened up, looking down at me with cold superiority. Sarah Wells, 28, teaches 3rd grade at Westwood Elementary. Parents live in an old duplex in Van Nuys. Has a younger brother at UCLA, am I right? A chill went through my entire body. Vivian, don't you dare touch her. She smiled, a beautiful and cruel curve of her lips. Well, that depends on you, doesn't it? You can either continue being my most loyal dog, or you can watch her and her entire family suffer because of you. She turned and left, the sharp clicks of her heels on the concrete echoing like hammer blows on my heart. The door locked again. I slumped in the darkness. The blood on my forehead had dried, and my neck stung, but it was nothing compared to the despair that filled my soul. 10 years ago, the first time I met Vivian Sterling. She'd skipped class to go to a club, and was cornered in an alley by a couple of thugs. I was just out of the army, passing by, and I helped her out. Her father found me and offered me $500,000 a year to protect his only daughter. I told him it was too much, that the market rate for executive protection wasn't that high. He just clapped me on the shoulder. Vivian is spoiled rotten. She has a terrible temper. You'll have to be patient with her. Consider it hazard pay. Back then I thought, how bad could she be? She's just a spoiled rich girl. I learned later that Vivian wasn't just a girl. She was a beautiful, ruthless predator. and I was her most trusted weapon and her most foolish prey. Foolish enough to believe that 10 years of devotion might mean something different. On the morning of the 4th day, the basement door opened again. It was Vivian's assistant, carrying a tray with a full breakfast and a first aid kit. "Leo, you should eat something. Ms. Sterling wants you to clean yourself up. You're taking her to the polo club this afternoon." I looked up. "She's letting me out?" The assistant's eyes darted away. "Ms. Sterling said, you should think things through, as long as you apologize, and promise to never mention dating or marriage again. She'll pretend none of this ever happened. You'll still be the head of her security detail, with double the salary." I stared at the assistant. "And if I don't?" He lowered his voice. "Leo, what's the point? You know what she's like. She really did send someone to Ms. Wells' school yesterday. They didn't do anything, but the message was clear. You can't win against her. Just give in, for the sake of your 10 years here." I closed my eyes. 10 years. Yes. For 10 years, I'd orbited her like a loyal satellite, forgetting I had a life I wanted to live too. That afternoon, I showered and changed into a clean suit. I put a bandage on the cut on my forehead and wore a turtleneck to cover the scratches on my neck. I was once again the impeccable head of security for the Sterling family. When Vivian saw me, a satisfied smile spread across her face. "You've come to your senses?" I silently opened the car door for her. "Ms. Sterling." She got in, humming a song, clearly in a good mood. "I knew you couldn't bear to leave. Your salary is doubled, Leo. Think of how many watches you can buy now. Tonight, you're coming with me to a charity gala. There's an auction. If you see anything you like, I'll buy it for you. Consider it my way of making up for the past few days." Her tone was uncharacteristically soft. She even reached out as if to touch the bandage on my forehead. I turned my head to avoid her. Her hand stopped, and her expression darkened, but she didn't lash out. The sun was bright at the equestrian club in Malibu. Vivian rode her thoroughbred for a few laps. Her cheeks flushed when she dismounted. She tossed me the reins. "Here, walk him for me. He seemed a little agitated today, so be careful." The horse was indeed restless, snorting and stamping its hooves. I led it around the paddock twice and was about to hand it over to a stable hand when a loud bang, like a car backfiring, echoed from the nearby road. The horse instantly spooked. It reared up, neighing wildly, and yanked the reins from my hand, bolting straight toward Vivian. She had her back to us, chatting with a riding instructor, completely oblivious to the danger. The horse was at a full gallop. Its hooves were raised high. It was about to trample her. There was no time to think. I reacted on pure instinct, lunging forward and shoving her out of the way, grabbing for the horse's reins at the same time. The terrified animal reared up again, its full weight coming down. A heavy hoof slammed into my chest. I heard the sharp crack of my ribs breaking. An explosion of pain consumed me. As I was thrown backward, the last thing I saw was Vivian's shocked face and her hand, reaching out for me. How pathetic. Even at a time like this, I was still hoping for something. Before darkness swallowed me, I felt someone rush over and cradle my head. Warm drops landed on my face. I heard her voice, a high-pitched, terrified scream laced with tears. "Leo, you're not allowed to die. I forbid you to die. Do you hear me? If you die, I'll make that Sarah Wells and her entire family pay." See? Even her concern sounded like a threat. I lost consciousness. When I woke up, I was in a VIP suite at Cedars-Sinai. My chest was wrapped in thick bandages, and every breath sent a jolt of pain through me. Vivian was sitting by the bed. Her eyes were red and swollen, as if she'd been crying. But the moment she saw my eyes open, she put her usual arrogant mask back on. "You're awake? Are you completely useless? You can't even handle a single horse. I almost got trampled because of you." I struggled to speak, my throat painfully dry. "Are you okay, Ms. Sterling?" She snorted. "What would be wrong with me? You pushed me so hard I scraped my elbow. You, on the other hand, have 3 broken ribs and a minor concussion. The doctor said you'll be laid up for at least 3 months. As she spoke, she poked my forehead. "You did this on purpose, didn't you, Leo? A little drama to make me feel sorry for you." I closed my eyes, too tired to argue. A nurse came in to change my dressing. She gasped when she saw the dark, hoof-shaped bruise on my chest, her hands trembling. "My God, that must hurt so much." Vivian waved her away impatiently. Get out. You're taking forever." The nurse, her eyes welling up, hurried out of the room. It was just the two of us again. Vivian pulled a chair to the bedside and started peeling an apple. She was clumsy, cutting away more fruit than peel. "Here, open your mouth." She held the mangled apple sliced to my lips. I turned my head away. "I don't want it." Her eyes flashed with anger. You dare refuse something I peeled for you myself. I used to beg you to do something as simple as peel a piece of fruit, and you'd act like I was asking for your life, I mumbled. Why play the caring nurse now? She held the apple, frozen, then angrily took a bite herself. After a moment, she grimaced and spit it into a napkin. What a crappy apple. It's so sour. She threw the rest of it in the trash and crossed her arms, studying me. The doctor said if you'd gotten here half an hour later, it would have been critical. The hoof missed your heart by less than an inch. You're lucky to be alive. I stared at the ceiling. Yeah, lucky. After a decade of taking hits for you, I guess even the Grim Reaper feels bad for me. Her expression froze, as if my words had struck a nerve. She shot to her feet. What's with the sarcasm, Leo? Who is that for? Isn't it your job to protect me? Don't you forget your duty. She slammed the door on her way out. I listened to the sound of her heels fade down the hallway and slowly let out a breath. My phone was broken, so I had no way to contact the outside world. I had no idea how Sarah was. Vivian's threat echoed in my mind. Knowing her, she was more than capable of going after Sarah. That night, Vivian returned, this time with her whole entourage of vapid, wealthy friends. They crowded in my hospital room, loud and obnoxious. Vivi, is this the bodyguard who took the hoof for you? Wow, check out those pecs. Still looking good, even after being kicked by a horse. A guy with blue hair reached out to touch my bandages. I shot him a look so cold it stopped his hand in midair. Vivian beamed with pride. Of course, my Leo is the toughest there is. Why else would I keep him around for 10 years? Another girl in a backless dress giggled. He's pretty handsome, too. Vivi, you should just make him your boy toy. Vivian playfully slapped her. Don't be ridiculous. He's just a bodyguard. The group roared with laughter. They started a party right there in my room, the smell of tequila filling the air. The noise was giving me a splitting headache. A nurse came by several times to ask them to be quiet, but Vivian just screamed at her. What's your problem? I've booked this entire floor. I'll be as loud as I want. She even jumped onto my bed and started dancing, her dirty shoes smearing grime all over the clean white sheets. A sharp pain shot through my chest. I couldn't take it anymore. Everybody out. The room fell silent. All eyes turned to me. Vivian raised an eyebrow. What did you just say, Leo? I gritted my teeth and pushed myself into a sitting position, cold sweat instantly soaking my hospital gown. I said, get out. This is a hospital, not a nightclub. The blue-haired guy whistled. Whoa, the bodyguard's got an attitude. Vivian's face turned ugly. Don't push your luck, Leo. I brought my friends to see you. You should be grateful. I stared her down. I don't need this kind of gratitude. Please leave. She smashed her glass on the floor. Shards flew, one cutting the back of my hand. Fine. Have it your way. Let's go, everyone. Let him rot in here by himself. The crowd cleared out, and the room was finally quiet. The night nurse tiptoed back in to clean up the mess. Sir, she whispered, your wound has reopened. I need to redress it. I looked down and saw blood seeping through my bandages. As she worked, the nurse sighed. Miss Sterling is just too much. You were hurt protecting her. I shook my head. I'm used to it. After she rebandaged my chest, the pain kept me awake. Around midnight, the door creaked open. It was Vivian back again. She was drunker than before, stumbling as she came to my bedside and grabbed my arm. Leo, I'm sorry. She slurred, her voice choked with tears. I didn't mean it. I was just scared. The way you pushed me today. It was just like that time in the alley 10 years ago. But this time you were just lying there. You wouldn't wake up no matter how much I yelled. I thought you were going to die. Her tears fell on my hand, hot against my skin. I watched her silently. In 10 years, this was the first time she had ever apologized. The first time she had ever shown me this kind of weakness. But I felt nothing, not a ripple. If anything, I found it darkly amusing. You're drunk, Ms. Sterling. She shook her head frantically. I'm not drunk. Leo, please don't resign. Don't go on any more dates. I'll stop losing my temper with you. I'll raise your salary. Double it. No, triple it. I'll give you anything you want. She babbled on, clinging to me like I was a life raft. I slowly pulled my hand away. Ms. Sterling, I'm tired. 10 years is a long time. Please, just let me go. Her crying stopped abruptly. She looked up, her eyes blazing red. You want to leave that badly? For that elementary school teacher. What's so great about her, huh? What did she give you? A shitty salary? A tiny condo in the valley? With me, you can have anything you want. I looked right at her. She can give me dignity. Vivian looked as if I'd slapped her. The color drained from her face. Are you saying I don't give you dignity? Leo, I dare you to say I haven't treated you well these past 10 years. Do you know what other bodyguards make? Do you know what you make? I take you to the best places, you wear designer clothes, drive luxury cars. I cut her off. but I'm still just a bodyguard. I'm still, as you call me when you're drunk, the family dog. Her mouth opened, but no words came out. Finally, she stood up abruptly. Fine. You want dignity? Let me tell you something, Leo. Without the Sterling family, you are nothing. You think that Sarah Wells would even look at you if she knew you were just a high school educated army vet? What's she after? The scar on your face or the blood money you've earned? She slammed the door and was gone. This time, she didn't come back. I was in the hospital for 2 more weeks. Vivian never showed up. She did, however, send her assistant every day with expensive gifts and food, enough to fill the entire room. By the 3rd week, I could walk around a bit. When a nurse wasn't looking, I slipped out of the hospital and found a payphone to call Sarah. It rang several times before she answered. Hello. Her voice sounded weary. My throat felt tight. Sarah, it's me, Leo. There was a pause, then her tone became distant. Oh, Mr. Vance, is there something you need? I'm sorry I disappeared. I was injured. She cut me off. I know. Your employer told me. I froze. Vivian contacted you? Did she threaten you? Sarah gave a bitter laugh. Mr. Vance, let's just not contact each other anymore. I'm just a normal teacher who wants a quiet life. I can't get involved in whatever high society drama you're a part of. Goodbye. The line went dead. I stood there, holding the receiver for a long time. The newly healed bones in my chest started to ache again, worse than when the horse had kicked me. On the way back to the hospital, I stopped at a T-Mobile store and bought the cheapest smartphone they had, with a new SIM card. The moment I turned it on, dozens of texts flooded in. All for Vivian. You dare sneak out of the hospital? Get your ass back here right now. Do you want me to cut off your medical payments? The last one had come 10 minutes ago. You bastard, Leo. You ran off to see that slut. I deleted every message and blocked her number. When I got back to my room, Vivian was sitting on my hospital bed, her face dark enough to curdle milk. Where were you? I ignored her and lay back down. She shot up and grabbed my collar. I asked you a question. Did you go see Sarah Wells? Are you so obsessed with that woman, you'd risk your life? I looked at her calmly. Ms. Sterling, it's my personal time. I don't need to report my whereabouts to you. She was shaking with rage. Fine. That's great. You've grown some wings, haven't you, Leo? Don't forget your contract isn't up yet. I can sue you for breach of contract for leaving the hospital without authorization. I closed my eyes. Go ahead. She proceeded to smash everything in the room that wasn't bolted down. Finally, she pointed a trembling finger at me. You just wait. I'm going to make sure that Sarah Wells is run out of Los Angeles. My eyes snapped open. Vivian, if you touch her, I swear to God. She smirked. Finally decided to drop the act? Let me tell you, all it takes is one phone call from my family, and her entire family will be on their knees begging. I sat up and stared at her. And do you believe that before you can touch her, I can ruin your reputation? I know every dirty secret I've had to clean up for you over the last 10 years. If you push me too far, nobody gets a happy ending. She stared at me in disbelief. Are you threatening me? Leo, you're threatening me for another woman. I ripped the 4 from my arm and stood up, towering over her. She had to tilt her head back to meet my gaze. Even a cornered rabbit will bite, Ms. Sterling. I may have been your dog for 10 years, but that doesn't mean I don't have teeth. Her face went pale, and she stumbled back. You're insane. I'm telling my father. I'll make it so you can never work in this city again. I laughed. Please do. I'm sure Mr. Sterling would love to hear all about what his precious daughter has been up to. Like that hit and run 3 years ago, where I took the fall for you. Or that charity auction last year, where you swapped out the real painting for a fake and pocketed the difference. She was utterly speechless, her lips trembling. She looked at me like I was a complete stranger, then turned and fled, slamming the door behind her. I had never been that forceful with her. For 10 years, I had been compliant, no matter how unreasonable she was. I always told myself she wasn't truly malicious, just spoiled. Looking back now, I was a fool. The day I was discharged, Vivian didn't come. Her assistant handled the paperwork and handed me a new phone. Ms. Sterling wanted you to have this. She said, you should take your time to recover. Your leave is indefinite, and your salary will continue, as usual. She said, to contact her when you've thought things through. I didn't take the phone. Thank her for me, but it's not necessary. I'll wire the penalty for breaking my contract. My resignation letter will be in her inbox shortly. The assistant was stunned. Leo, are you serious? She cried all night after that day. She actually cares about you a lot. I cut him off. Mark, you've been with her for 5 years. How many times has she hit you? He fell silent. I clapped him on the shoulder. Find a better path for yourself. Don't waste 10 years like I did. I rented a small apartment far from the Sterling estate. It was simple, south-facing, with a small balcony that got good sun. I started going to physical therapy and the injury in my chest slowly healed. Sometimes I thought of Sarah, but I didn't try to contact her. Vivian was right. I had nothing to offer her but a scar body and a bank account full of blood money. After 2 weeks of quiet, I went downstairs one evening to take out the trash. A familiar black Maybach was parked at the community gate. The license plate, Sterling 1. The window rolled down, revealing Vivian's face. She looked thinner, and she was wearing sunglasses. Get in. I didn't move. Is there something you need, Ms. Sterling? She took off her sunglasses. Her eyes were slightly swollen. My father wants to see you. I frowned. Why would Mr. Sterling want to see me? You'll find out when you get there. Don't worry, he's not going to give you a hard time. I hesitated, then got in the car. The atmosphere was tense. Vivian stared at her phone the whole ride, which was unlike her. Just before we reached the estate, she spoke without looking up. Leo, if I told you I've changed, would you believe me? I said nothing. She gave a self-deprecating laugh. I knew you wouldn't, but I'm serious. I've done a lot of thinking these past few weeks. I was wrong before. The car pulled into the Sterling estate. The butler was waiting at the door, his expression grim. Miss Vivian, your father is waiting for you and Mr. Vance in the study. Vivian took a deep breath. Let's go. Whatever my father says, don't argue. I'll handle it. In the study, behind a massive mahogany desk, Arthur Sterling was reading a document. He looked up as we entered. Sit. I remained standing. Mr. Sterling, if there's something you want to say, please just say it. He put down the document and studied me. I hear you want to resign. Did Vivian bully you? I glanced at Vivian. She was wringing her hands nervously. It's for personal reasons. I want to try a different line of work. Arthur Sterling smiled. No need to be so formal with me. I've seen everything you've done for Vivian over the last 10 years. If it wasn't for you last year, she would have been killed in that kidnapping. The Sterling family owes you her life. He opened a drawer, took out a cashier's check, and slid it across the desk. $3 million. If it's not enough, we can add more. I stared at it. Mr. Sterling, what is this for? Compensation. Take the money and leave Los Angeles. Vivian is still young and reckless. You can't enable her. Vivian shot to her feet. Dad, that's not what you promised. Arthur's face hardened. Shut up. Haven't you caused enough embarrassment? Throwing a fit over a bodyguard? You're disgracing the Sterling name. He turned back to me, his tone softening. Leo, you're a good man. But you and Vivian are not possible. Take the money and go. Don't make things difficult for her. I looked at the check and felt an urge to laugh. Mr. Sterling, do you really think I protected your daughter for 10 years for the money? Arthur raised an eyebrow. What else? Don't tell me you're actually in love with her. Vivian's eyes lit up, and she looked at me expectantly. I shook my head. No, before it was my job. Now we're strangers. Vivian's face went white. Arthur's eyes narrowed. In that case, you have even more reason to take the money. You put your life on the line for our family for a decade. We can't let you walk away with nothing. I picked up the check, tore it in half, and tossed the pieces back on the desk. Not necessary. I'll pay the penalty for breaking my contract. Goodbye. As I turned to leave, Vivian ran and grabbed my arm. Leo, don't go. It doesn't matter if my dad disapproves. I'll go with you. Arthur roared, stop her. Bodyguards rushed in from outside and restrained Vivian. She struggled wildly. Let me go. Leo, if you walk out that door, I will never forgive you. I didn't look back. I walked out of the mansion into the cool night air. My phone vibrated. A text from a new, unknown number. You got guts, Leo Vance. But I'm not letting you go. I'll find you wherever you run. It was Vivian. She'd already found my new number. I deleted the text and hailed a cab. Step on it, please. In the rearview mirror, the Sterling mansion grew smaller and smaller, like a gilded cage. I was finally free, but a sense of unease settled in my stomach. Knowing Vivian, she wouldn't give up this easily. Her words, I'm not letting you go, didn't sound like an empty threat. They sounded like a promise. Halfway through the ride, the driver grunted. Hey, that Maybach has been on our tail this whole time. I checked the mirror. It was the Sterling's car. Can you lose them? The driver grinned. Buddy, who do you think you're talking to? I used to be a stunt driver for the studios. He floored it, and the taxi weaved through the evening traffic like a snake, running 2 yellow lights. We finally lost them. I gave him an extra $200. He handed me his card. Call me next time you need a getaway driver. Back at my small apartment, I locked the door, checked all the windows, and only then allowed myself to relax. I knew Vivian's MO all too well. If she couldn't have something, she'd destroy it. My phone buzzed again. It was Sarah's number. I hesitated, then answered. But the voice on the other end was Vivian's, slurred with alcohol and tears. Leo, why don't you want me? What does that teacher have that I don't? Please come back. I'll give you anything. The background was noisy, like a bar. I frowned. You're drunk, Ms. Sterling. Put someone else on the phone. She giggled. There's nobody else. Just me. I'm at Noir Bar. All these men are staring at me. Do you think they want to sleep with me? A knot of dread formed in my stomach. Noir Bar had a reputation. Stay right where you are. I'll call the Sterling security team to pick you up. She shrieked. Don't call them. I want you to come. If you don't come, I'll just go home with one of them. The line went dead. I tried calling back, but it went to voicemail. I paced my apartment for a minute, but I couldn't just leave her there. I called the head of the Sterling security detail on my new phone. Ms. Sterling is at Noir Bar and might be in trouble. Send someone to check on her. The captain sounded hesitant. Leo, she fired all of us this afternoon. Said she was sick of looking at our faces. The new team doesn't start until tomorrow. Maybe you could go. I pinched the bridge of my nose. Text me the address. But don't tell her I sent you. 10 minutes later, I was at Noir Bar. I found Vivian in a dark corner booth, passed out on the table, the strap of her dress halfway down her shoulder. A few sleazy-looking guys were eyeing her. I pushed them aside and draped my jacket over her. Vivian, wake up. She opened her eyes blearily. When she saw me, she broke into a wide grin. Leo, you came. You do care about me, don't you? I tried to help her up, but she went limp, draping herself over me. Take me home. Not to the mansion. To your place. I frowned. That's not appropriate. She leaned close, her breath smelling of whiskey. Then take me to a hotel. Just the two of us. I took a step back. Ms. Sterling, have some self-respect. Her eyes instantly turned cold. What's with the act? You were with me for 10 years. Are you telling me you never felt a thing? Is my body not as good as that teacher's? She started to pull at her dress. I grabbed her hand. If you don't stop, I'm calling your father. She froze, and her eyes filled with tears. Leo, you're a bastard. In the end, I took her back to the Sterling mansion. The butler's face lit up when he saw me. Mr. Vance, you're back. I handed Vivian over to him. She's had too much to drink. Take care of her. I turned to leave, but Vivian suddenly wrapped her arms around me from behind. Don't go. I was wrong. I was really wrong. I won't bully you anymore. I won't yell at you. I'll give you the dignity you want. Just don't leave me. She was sobbing, shaking like an abandoned child. I stood there, a mess of conflicting emotions running through me. 10 years. You'd get attached to a dog in 10 years, let alone a person. But some lines can be crossed. I slowly pried her fingers off me. Good night, Ms. Sterling. She slid to the floor, staring up at me as silent tears streamed down her face. Leo, you're going to regret this. The next day, I started looking for a new job, but I quickly realized something was wrong. At every interview, the hiring manager would look at my resume, then their eyes would dart away. Sorry, we're not actually hiring for security positions right now. You're overqualified for our company. Even a moving company turned me down. Look, man, it's not that we don't want you, well, you get it, right? I stood on the street and called the owner of a security firm I used to work with. He hemmed and hawed. Leo, it's not that I don't want to help you. The Sterling family put the word out. Anyone who hires you is making an enemy of them. Of all the people to piss off, you had to pick her. The line went dead. I looked at the endless river of traffic and laughed. Fine, Vivian, if that's how you want to play it. That afternoon, I went to a day labor market. I just accepted a job moving furniture when the contractor got a phone call. His face changed. Hey, we're not moving today after all. Here's double your deposit back. Please just go. I took the money and left. As I turned into an alley, two men in black suits blocked my path. Mr. Vance, Miss Sterling would like to have a word with you. I recognized them as the new security. And if I say no, one of them produced a taser. Then we'll have to do this the hard way. In a private room at a high-end Japanese restaurant, Vivian was preparing tea with a focused, practiced air that was completely out of character. Sit. She pushed a cup toward me. It's a rare blend my father keeps. Da Hong Pao. I didn't move. What do you want, Miss Sterling? She looked up at me. How's the job hunt going? I sneered. Thanks to you, nobody in the city will hire me. She gently blew on her tea. Come back to the Sterlings. Triple your previous salary, a company car, a condo. You'll be responsible only for my safety, no menial tasks. You want dignity? I'll give it to you. She paused. I'll even apologize. For everything. I was surprised, but my guard was up. What's the catch? Stay away from Sarah Wells. And you can never, ever resign. I stood up. Then we have nothing to talk about. She slammed her cup down. Leo, don't be an idiot. I have never in my life humbled myself like this for anyone. I walked to the door. Then don't. We could go our separate ways. I opened the door to find 4 bodyguards blocking the exit. Vivian's voice came from behind me. You have 2 choices today. Either you sign the new contract or you're carried out of here. I turned to look at her. Are you sure you want to do this? She raised an eyebrow. You think I wouldn't dare? I smiled. Try me. The largest bodyguard lunged. I sidestepped, bringing my elbow down hard on the back of his neck. The other three attacked at once. The room was small, making it hard to maneuver. One of them kicked me in the chest, right on my old injury, and my vision swam with black spots. But 10 years of living on the edge hadn't been for nothing. 5 minutes later, all four of them were on the floor, groaning. I wiped a trickle of blood from my lip and looked at Vivian, whose face was pale. Are we dumb? Is Sterling? She bit her lip, then suddenly grabbed a fruit knife from the table and held it to her own throat. Leo, if you walk out that door today, I will die right here in front of you. My eyes widened. Are you insane? Her hand was shaking, and the tip of the knife had already broken the skin, a thin line of blood welling up. Yes, I'm insane. You drove me insane. If you leave, what will I do? Who will protect me? Who will give me tea at 3 in the morning? Who will take a bullet for me? I took a slow step forward. Put the knife down. No, not unless you promise to come back. She was hysterical, the knife pressing deeper. Blood trickled down her neck. I lunged, grabbing for the knife. In the struggle, the blade sliced my arm, but I managed to wrench it from her grasp and throw it across the room. She collapsed onto the floor, sobbing. Leo, it hurts. I looked at the cut on her neck and couldn't bring myself to walk away. Where's the first aid kit? She pointed to a cabinet. I got the antiseptic and bandages and knelt to clean the wound. It wasn't deep, but it was in a dangerous place. She looked up at me, tears rolling down her cheeks. You used to blow on it. You'd say it would make the pain go away. My hands paused. That was before. She grabbed the hem of my shirt. What if I told you I've really changed? You don't believe me, do you? I didn't answer, just carefully applied the bandage. I stood up. Don't do stupid things like this again. I'm leaving. She didn't try to stop me. But just as I opened the door, she said softly, Leo, that teacher. Sarah Wells. She's getting married. I whipped around. What did you say? She gave a sad, broken smile. Anyone the Sterling's target can't survive in this city. Her parents took $50,000 to marry her off to some slumlord's son. They're getting their marriage license this afternoon. I stormed back and grabbed her by the shoulders. What did you do to her? She let me shake her, her eyes empty. I didn't do anything. I just showed her reality. In this world, money and power are all that matter. You can't protect her, Leo. I shoved her away and ran, dialing Sarah's number as I went. It went straight to voicemail. I called her school. A colleague was evasive. Sarah took a personal day. Said she had a family event. I flagged down a guy on a motorcycle and shoved a $100 bill in his hand. The county clerk's office. Now, I got there just in time to see Sarah getting out of car. She was wearing a white dress, her face pale. A short, heavy-set man had his arm wrapped possessively around her waist. I shoved the man away. Sarah, what the hell is going on? When she saw me, her eyes immediately filled with tears. Leo, what are you? The short man came at me, sputtering. Who the hell are you? Get your hands off my wife. I ignored him, my eyes locked on Sarah. You told me you'd make lasagna for me. You said you wanted a quiet life. Is this the quiet life you chose? Tears streamed down her face. My mom took the money. My dad needs surgery. I'm so sorry. The man grabbed her arm. Stop talking to this loser. Let's go get the license. I slammed my hand down on his. She doesn't want to go. Can't you see that? The man sneered. We already took the 50 grand dowry. She doesn't have a choice. Now beat it, pal, before. I didn't let him finish. I hit him, a clean right hook to the jaw. He went down, howling. Sarah grabbed my arm, terrified. Leo, don't. His brother-in-law is a lieutenant with the LAPD. I took her hand. Come with me. I'll pay the money back for you, and I'll cover your dad's surgery. She stared at me, bewildered. Where would you get that kind of money? I wiped a tear from her cheek. 10 years of blood money. Is it enough to buy your freedom? Behind us, the man was screaming threats. Sarah, you walk away now, and I'll make sure your whole family regrets it. I turned and gave him a cold look. Tell your brother-in-law that if he so much as looks at the Wells family, I'll hand over evidence of the Sterling Corporation's tax evasion to the IRS. Let's see who regrets it first. The man shut his mouth, his face turning ashen. I led Sarah away and got a taxi back to my apartment. She was silent the whole way. When we got to my building, she asked softly, Why are you helping me? I paid the driver. Because you said you make a mean lasagna. I want to try it. She smiled through her tears. Then her expression turned worried. But the Sterlings. I looked up at my apartment window. We'll deal with your problem first. I'm wiring you the $50,000 right now. Go get back. She shook her head. I can't take your money. I opened my banking app and transfer it anyway. Just write me an IOU. Standard bank interest rates. She looked at me, then stepped forward and hugged me. Leo, thank you. My body went rigid. In 10 years, Vivian had hugged me many times, in fits of temper, in moments of triumph. But none of them had ever felt like this. Simple, warm, without any ulterior motive. I gently patted her back. Want to come up for a bit? She blushed and let go. Okay. My small one-bedroom apartment was neat and tidy. She looked surprised. I thought all bachelor pads were supposed to be messy. I handed her a glass of water, a habit from the army. She held the glass, hesitating. That Miss Sterling. Will she cause more trouble for you? I looked out the window. It's only a matter of time. You should take some time off, go out of town for a while. Let me handle this. She nodded. My dad is being transferred to a hospital in San Francisco for his surgery next week. I'll be with him, probably for a month. She blushed again. When I get back, I'll make you that lasagna. I smiled. Deal. After Sarah left, I stood on the balcony. In the shadows below, a black Mercedes was parked. A Sterling car. I knew it. My phone rang. Vivian's voice was like ice, saving the damsel in distress. How does it feel? I gripped the railing. What is it you want from me? She laughed softly. What do I want? Leo, I gave you a chance. Now I want you to come back to me on your knees, begging. The line went dead. The next day, the war began. My bank accounts were frozen. My landlord suddenly served me an eviction notice. My water and power were shut off. At the bank, the teller looked at me with pity. Mr. Vance, your account has been flagged in a money laundering investigation. It's been frozen pending review. I knew it was the Sterling's work. I didn't argue. I withdrew what little cash I had on hand. As I was walking home, 3 thugs cornered me in an alley. Hey, buddy, spare some cash. I narrowed my eyes. Did Vivian Sterling send you? The one with bleach blonde hair grinned. Who's that? Never heard of her. We just don't like your face. He threw a punch. I dodged, twisted his arm behind his back. Last chance. Was it the Sterlings? The other 2 pulled knives. I kicked one over, snatched his knife, and held it to the blonde one's throat. Talk. He practically wet himself. Yes. Miss Sterling told us to teach you a lesson. Said she'd pay big if we broke a few bones. I shove him away. Get lost. And tell her if this happens again, I'm not afraid to burn everything to the ground. They scrambled away. I stood there, looking at the smashed windows of my apartment, and felt a profound exhaustion. 10 years. It was like I'd been living in the Truman Show, my entire world controlled by the Sterlings. My phone rang. An unknown number. It was Arthur Sterling. Leo, I heard you got into a fight with the men Vivian sent. I laughed coldly. Are you calling to defend your daughter's honor, Mr. Sterling? He sighed. I spoiled her. I know that. But I want you to understand, you cannot fight my family and win. Come back to Vivian, and we'll forget any of this happened. He paused. If you truly have feelings for her, I might consider it. I was stunned. Consider what? The 2 of you. I only have one daughter. The Sterling Corporation will one day pass to her and her husband. I laughed. Mr. Sterling, you think I risked my life for 10 years for a shot at that? He was silent for a moment. Everyone wants to climb higher. There's no shame in it. Vivian can give you far more than some elementary school teacher. I looked at the Sterling Tower gleaming in the distance. Yes, she can give me a lot, but she can't give me the one thing that matters. And what's that? Freedom. There was a long silence on the other end. Finally, he said, You're going to regret this. The line went dead. That evening, I was at the supermarket buying bread when I ran into Sarah. She was holding a thermos. I was just about to bring you some lasagna. I heard you moved. I looked at her fingers, red from the hot container. You made this just for me? She looked down. Yeah, I wanted to thank you. I took her to a bench outside. The lasagna was fragrant and delicious. It's the first time I've cooked for a guy, she said quietly. It might not be very good. I took a bite. It was perfect, rich, savory, and comforting. It's delicious. Her eyes lit up. Really, better than any 5-star restaurant. She looked confused. You've been to places like that? They're so expensive. I paused. I went with my old boss sometimes. She didn't press. Her eyes fell on the new cut on my arm. Did you get in another fight? It's nothing. She pulled out a small first aid kit from her purse and began to carefully clean the wound. Leo, what exactly did you do before? Why is there always so much trouble following you? I looked at the city lights. I was a nanny for a very spoiled, very rich girl. She giggled. You a nanny? Yeah, for 10 years. Her smile faded. A girl. Yeah, was she in love with you? I didn't answer. She was quiet for a moment, then said softly, She must have really depended on you. I looked at her. Why do you say that? Because you make people feel safe. She blushed and started packing up the container. I should go. My dad's surgery is tomorrow. I walked her to the bus stop. Just as the bus arrived, she turned and pressed a small, woven charm into my hand. I got this at a temple. For protection, I hope. I hope you don't have to fight anymore. The bus pulled away. I stood there, holding the charm, still warm from her hand. In 10 years, Vivian had given me countless luxury watches and expensive gifts, but never anything so simple. 3 days later, I decided to leave Los Angeles for good. But when I tried to buy a bus ticket, the clerk gave me a strange look. Your ID isn't scanning. The system says you're on a restricted travel list. I stood there and took a deep breath. The Sterlings were trying to suffocate me. I walked out of the station, and the black Mercedes was there again, pulling up beside me. The window rolled down. Vivian, sunglasses on. Get in. I opened the door and sat down. What will it take for you to just let me go? She took off her sunglasses. Her eyes were terribly swollen. 3 days. Just 3 days with me. After that, I will let you go completely. I'll never bother you again. I frowned. And you expect me to believe you? She produced a legally binding document. It's all in writing, notarized by my lawyers. After 3 days, I restore your freedom, lift all the restrictions, and give you a severance of $3 million. I read it over. The terms were clear. Why 3 days? She looked out the window. My birthday is coming up. For the last 10 years, you were always with me. Let this be the last time. I thought for a moment. Fine, but we have some ground rules. No physical contact, you don't force me to do anything, and you don't harm Sarah. A corner of her mouth twitched. Deal. The first day, she had me take her to the Santa Monica Pier. We acted like a normal couple, waiting in line for the rides. On the roller coaster, she screamed her head off and gripped my arm so tight, I thought she'd break it. She threw up afterward. I handed her a bottle of water. Why put yourself through this? She wiped her mouth and smiled weakly. I always wanted to do this, but my father said it was too dangerous. At lunch, she got ice cream all over her face. I instinctively reached over with a napkin and wiped her chin, the motion as familiar as breathing. She stared at me, her eyes suddenly welling up. Leo, I pulled my hand back. Sorry. She finished her ice cream in silence. That afternoon, on the Ferris wheel, as we reached the very top, she said, I know I'm horrible. I have a bad temper. I'm selfish. I'm unreasonable. But when you said you were leaving, I realized I have no one else. Her voice broke. My parents are always busy. My friends only care about my money. You were the only one who cleaned up my messes, who stood guard outside my door when I had nightmares, who stayed with me all night when I was sick. I stared out at the sprawling city. That was my job. She shook her head. No, it wasn't. When I was kidnapped last year, when you took that knife from me, I knew. No one else in the world would ever do that for me. The Ferris wheel began its slow descent. She asked softly, if there was no Sarah, would you have liked me? Even a little. I was silent. When we reached the ground, I finally answered. There are no ifs in life. A tear escaped and ran down her cheek, but she quickly wiped it away. I know. The second day, she asked me to teach her self-defense in the mansion's gym. As I was demonstrating a move, she suddenly wrapped her arms around me from behind. Is this how you subdue a bad guy? I froze. Let go, Ms. Sterling. She held on tighter. It's the last day. Just let me hold on for a minute. Just 1 minute. I pried her fingers off one by one and turned to face her. We had an agreement. Her eyes were red. Do you hate me that much? 10 years. Even a dog would wag its tail. I looked at her calmly. There it is. In your heart. That's all I'll ever be to you. A dog. She choked, her face going pale. That's not what I meant. I grabbed a towel. We're done for today. She caught my arm. I'm sorry. I didn't mean it. I pulled away. Tomorrow is the last day. I expect you to honor your promise. On the third day, she wanted to watch the sunset at the beach. When I got to El Matador, she was standing on a rock in a white dress, the sea breeze whipping her long hair around her. She looked beautiful and fragile. She turned and smiled at me. I used to ask you to come here with me, but you always said it was too dangerous. It really is beautiful. I stood beside her. It'll get cold once the sun goes down. You'll catch a cold. She tilted her head. Leo, in these 10 years, was there ever a single moment you saw me as a woman? I watched the sun sink below the horizon. No. The light in her eyes dimmed. Not even for a second. No. She was silent for a long time, until the last sliver of sun disappeared. Then she whispered, okay, I know when I've lost. On the drive back, she handed me a manila envelope. Everything I promised is in here. The $3 million check, the legal notices lifting all the restrictions, and, she paused, I've paid off Sarah's father's hospital bills, and I've taken care of the slumlord's family. They won't bother her again. I was genuinely surprised. Thank you. She looked out the window. Don't thank me. Leo, I just have to ask you one thing, she said, her voice small. These 10 years, did you really not feel anything for me? At all? No. Her shoulders trembled slightly. Okay. The car stopped in front of my apartment building. As I got out, she called my name. Wait, I forgot something. She handed me a small velvet box. A birthday present. You always gave me gifts, but I never gave you anything back. This is for all of them. I opened it. Inside was a military-grade wristwatch, clearly old. The face was engraved with the words Pathfinder Co. My head snapped up. How did you know about this? She smiled, but tears were streaming down her face. I know everything about your time in the service. I know you visit your captain's grave every year. I know you collect old military magazines. I know you keep a photo of your unit under your pillow. You're not a bodyguard, Leo, she whispered. You're not a dog. You're a hero. My hero. That I don't deserve. The window slowly rolled up, obscuring her tear-streaked face. The car drove away. I stood on the sidewalk, holding the watch. The face glinted in the streetlight. On the back, a tiny inscription. For my hero, VME phone vibrated. A new text. You're free now. Go marry her. Goodbye. I stared in the direction the car had gone, standing there for a long time. The next day, everything was back to normal. The travel restrictions were lifted, my bank accounts were unfrozen, and my landlord called to apologize, saying there had been a mistake. I went to the hospital in San Francisco to see Sarah's father. The surgery had been a success. In the hallway, Sarah was peeling an apple for me, still clumsy at it. Leo, thank you. I'll pay you back, slowly. I took the apple. There's no rush. She hesitated. That Miss Sterling. She hasn't bothered you again, has she? No. She let out a sigh of relief. That's good. You know, I actually feel kind of sorry for her. I looked at her. Why? She came to see me before we left. She said she was giving you back to me. Her eyes were so red and swollen from crying. I froze. She came to see you? Yeah, a few days ago. She said she wouldn't cause us any trouble. She even tried to give me a credit card. Said it was a wedding gift. I didn't take it. I ate the apple in silence. It was sweet, with a hint of tartness, like an emotion I couldn't quite name. A month later, Sarah's father was discharged. I helped him move his things back to L. Downstairs from her family's duplex, I saw a familiar figure. Vivian. She was much thinner, dressed in a simple white t-shirt and jeans, with no makeup on. I almost didn't recognize her. She held out a gift box. A wedding present. I was confused. What wedding? She blinked. Aren't you going to propose? I even have a check for the gift registry ready. Sarah blushed. Miss Sterling, please don't joke. Vivian smiled and pressed the box into Sarah's hands. Take it. It's some jewelry one of my father's business partners gave me. It's too old-fashioned for me, but it will look lovely on you. She looked at me. Leo, you better treat her right, or you'll have me to answer to. She turned to leave. I called out to her. Vivian. Her back stiffened. She turned around slowly. It was the first time in 10 years I called her by her name. Thank you. Her eyes turned red, but she forced a smile. For what? Come visit sometimes. The door to our home is always open for you. Not as an employee, as a friend. She walked away quickly, her steps a little unsteady. Sarah said softly, I think she's really changed. I didn't say anything, just watched until she was gone, feeling a quiet settling in a corner of my heart. 6 months later, Sarah and I had our engagement party. It was a small affair, just a few tables of friends and family. Right before the ceremony, a massive floral arrangement was delivered. Tucked among the roses was a card. To my hero, wishing you all the happiness. Vivi, Sarah whispered. Should we invite her in? I shook my head. She won't come. Later, during the toasts, I heard a commotion near the entrance. I went to check. At the far end of the hall, I saw a familiar figure in a black dress hurrying into an elevator. I chased after her, but by the time I got to the hotel lobby, I only saw the black Maybach pulling away from the curb. The back window was open, and for a fleeting moment, I saw Vivian's profile. There were tears on her cheeks, but she was smiling. I stood there for a long time, until Sarah came to find me. What's wrong? I took her hand. Nothing. It's getting windy. Let's go back inside. I heard later that Vivian had gone to study abroad. Her Instagram was occasionally updated with photos of lecture halls, libraries, and scenic landscapes. Her smiles looked happier, more genuine. One photo showed her reading a magazine in the background, an old issue of a military journal. It was the one with the feature story titled, My Hero. I liked the post. She replied almost instantly with a smiling emoji. You better be happy, Vance. I put my phone down. The sun was streaming through the window. In the kitchen, Sarah was making lasagna. The rich, savory aroma filled our small apartment. A 10-year journey was over. I was finally home.